Our goal is to win them all and keep them all. That's my little mantra. Win them.
Seems like you knew if I won, kids are going to stay.
I saw that my teams that lost consistently lost players. My teams that were losing teams had 1 or 2 wins, coached by decent guys, but they were, their retention rates were terrible. They were losing 30-40% of their kids. However, the teams coached by my better coaches, they were winning most of their games. They were retaining about everybody. I couldn't do it unless they won. I mean, they couldn't do it unless they were there. So really, I was trying to look for a system, a way of doing things that we could standardize on and win.
Right.
So, because in turn, the winning was going to drive the retention. And we did correct, and we did some things on top of that. I mean,
right. I understand.
I agree. Our goal is to win them all and keep them all. That's my little mantra. Win them all.
That's great. Yeah, win them all, keep them all.
Yeah, win them all and keep all the players. So whenever I sign anything, it's win them all, keep them all. Yeah, there's nothing. We don't need to apologize for trying to win, because when you win as a coach, it either validates or doesn't validate what you're doing. If you win, okay, typically over the long course of time, you can have a team that has a bunch of stud players. I get that. But when you take a coach's career, 4 years a coach and 10 years, 20 years, if he consistently wins, it's a validation of the processes and methods that he's using in his management. Because I always say coaching is just a teaching and management competition. That's all it is. Who can teach and manage better is going to win over the course of time. Okay, you can have that crazy group of kids. It's just awesome. But at the end of the day, if you can win and retain players, it's the validation that your approach is right.
Today we have Coach Dave Cisar and Coach Parker on the podcast. Gentlemen, nice to have you guys.
Oh, nice to be here. Hey, guys.
Awesome. So because Coach Cisar is new to the podcast, so I'll have Coach Cisar introduce himself, then we'll do Coach Parker, and then we'll get into some questions.
Well, I'm Dave Cisar with Winning Youth Football. I've done 250 clinics all over the country, and I'm just here to help out coaches and hang out with my friend Coach Parker and my new friend Zach.
Is it my turn?
Yes, your turn, Coach Parker.
I'm Coach Parker. I'm kind of an OG Beast coach. Known Dave I've known I don't know if Dave, if you remember, in 2008 you called me up to do a review on my website. So we met then. He's been an Aggie. He got out. I guess you got out. You kind of went silent about 4 years ago, and it has been my goal ever since you've gone silent to get you back in the game and off the bench. And I'm so happy you're back, actually, because I thought your book was amazing. And now that we're kind of working together here, I'm so glad you're with us and you're on the podcast today. So thank you.
I wouldn't be here unless I followed you for quite some time, and I was on your forum, and I was really impressed how you put that forum together and kind of policed it. Those things can go off in lots of different directions. So I was really impressed how you handle that. And of course, I'm a fan of your materials. We kind of line up a lot on how we view what youth football should be and how we should perform our tasks and the importance of it. So I think we had some like minds there, and then I was just impressed with your expertise.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm kind of an acolyte of yours, so that's probably why. And we're an Aggie, so it kind of meets up. But I think you'll like Zach, because he and I, he tracked me down over a month, and we're very simpatico too. It's kind of weird. He's young. He's a lot younger than we are, but I think you're going to find when he talks on here that we're all kind of three matched up really well.
He's an old soul. Is that what you're?
Yeah, that's what he is. Exactly. He's a power guy.
Well, he doesn't have any gray hair yet. He hadn't coached very long, that's for sure. If he doesn't have any gray hair.
It's starting to come in. I hit 40 this past summer, so it's getting there.
Oh, dude, you still look like a baby though.
Oh, well, thank you. I guess thank you. I don't know. I'm just messing. So Coach Cisar, I have run this podcast, Mind of a Football Coach, for 7-8 years, somewhere around that. I was a college football player at Liberty University. I was offensive lineman 80 plus pounds ago. And then I was a high school coach for 15 years. I was a head coach for 10 of those. This year I took a year off. I'm an administrator, hoping to get back into being a head coach here soon. And I love power football. That's my jam. I love old school football. I've run the T. I've run variations of single wing, snapping it to our best ball carrier. Been an I guy, I pro guy, power I guy. So this is beautiful stuff to me. The single wing and the beast offense.
You ran that Olivet T, the old-fashioned T formation stuff with the
Oh man,
power and the trap.
Oh yeah, so that's it.
Okay, yeah, that's good. It's beautiful. I watched this team in Michigan play. Menominee, Michigan played a team in Michigan that ran a T, and man, it's just so hard to see where the ball's at. And it's just beautiful. Just 4 plays, basically, more or less.
Oh yeah, trap, power, keep, pass.
That's it. That's it. I loved it.
Good stuff. A lot of people don't know the T formation is actually the oldest formation. So a lot of stuff came out of that. I always find that interesting. Thanks to Walter Camp, I guess.
Yeah. That's good, man. So I got a list of questions here I definitely want to get to that Coach Parker sent to me. So
fire away, Zach.
Whoever wants to go, whoever wants to go first. What's going on with you guys? With Coach Cisar and Coach Parker, did you guys team up? When and any big plans, new books or products coming out for you guys?
Well, like I said, I like you tracked me down. When did I call? I texted you like a year and a half ago and said, "Hey, I'd like to get your book back out there."
Right.
And the reason is because I'd outlined your book and a couple of other books to write something similar because you kind of had gone off the radar for a while, and I kept doing it. And I'm like, why would I write this book again when the book is already there? And so that's the reason I was trying to track you down, because I think a lot of people forget that your book, everybody talks about the Sainted Six, but your book is really, your first book is really about how to manage this whole team. So that was, I kind of wanted to track him down. And then what about 6 weeks ago, you said, I think we want to do something?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've had lots of requests I took my website down about 4 years ago. For a variety of reasons, we basically, more or less shut the business down. I lost my passion for it a bit, and there were some other reasons why. But, I've had people run me down, chase me down, and phone calls and emails and all kinds of things that they want access to the materials. And I just didn't have the ability to do distribution. That was really my weak point. And I wasn't interested. And obviously you've been selling books and DVDs and downloads, and you have a beautiful website up. So I thought these people need these materials. They want these materials. And I'm tired of fielding all these phone calls. And so, and emails and avoiding people. So I thought, you'd be a perfect avenue. And then I did a clinic. I spoke at the Single Wing Conclave here several months ago, and I forgot how much I enjoyed it. There was, I don't know how many coaches there were, maybe 70 or 80 coaches, single wing guys there in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And I trudged out to Wilkes-Barre, and it was a real pain in the ass to get there. And, but I really enjoyed, and I missed teaching coaches. And I just kind of lighted a fire back underneath me. Great guys, wonderful guys that were interested in, there for the right reasons, wanted to help their kids have a great youth football experience. So they kind of coincided, and that's when I tracked you back down and thought it made sense to go back and do this a little bit.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you got back. It didn't have to be me, but I'm glad it was. But I'm just so happy you're back in the game. So I think you're great for youth football, and you have a lot to give. So that makes me extremely excited.
Well, thanks, Coach. But I wouldn't have done it with anybody else, because you obviously have a great reputation, and everything that we've done so far, you just exceeded expectations. And I have a really high standard. I have a super high, ridiculous standard. So yeah, you're it. I feel very blessed and fortunate that we're doing this together.
Thank you. So Zach, I sent you his first book today. Did you get a chance to go through that? And
I did, and oh my gosh, that I know it says for youth football, but that could be a high school book as well. There's no reason you couldn't run your system at the high school level, both offense and defense. I don't see that there's a reason why you couldn't. That's why I really enjoyed it. I'm going through it.
Well, thanks. Well, I've had a bunch of high school coaches contact me and sit in on my clinics, basically because they're trying to build up their youth program underneath them. But I just don't like to get advice on things that I've never done. So I tell all the high school guys, don't run it. I said, you can take some of the concepts to apply to your practices, but I just don't like to give advice on things that I haven't actually done in real life.
Mm-hmm. That's very humble of you. That's refreshing to hear, because some people will say, oh yeah, do this, do that. But when you hear people that are just honest, that's very refreshing for me.
So one of the big questions that I did, so you play, I guess we heard earlier, or maybe it wasn't on the podcast yet. You played youth football in Nebraska or Texas? Because you're an Aggie. So where did you actually play? They're both big football states. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you played youth football like we did. So did you?
Yeah, in Omaha, Nebraska. That's where I grew up. So I
Yeah.
grew up in South Omaha, Nebraska, which is a lower income area within Omaha, which is a metroplex of 990,000 people. So people think of Nebraska, they have a bunch of cornfields and such. But that's where I got my start playing when I was 8 years old. I played for the Friendship Athletic Club, Omaha Merchants, then the Omaha Firefighters. And, it's like, I don't remember my first grade teacher's name or my kindergarten teacher's name, but man, I remember Ron Schmidt. I remember Leo Neri. I remember John Tex. I remember scores of games. I mean, I remember all that because I got so much out of playing. That's the reason I did it, is I just got so much out of my character, I think, from playing youth football of all things. And I'll expand upon that just a bit. I mean, it's just really, it's kind of a microcosm of what life's about. You got to show up to practice. So I was always the first one there. I mean, I played for this organization, had 120 kids, and I was always the first one there. I'd get to practice like an hour early. I was just hoping kids are showing up, and of course I'd be the last one to leave, and I walked to practice up and back, and I just got so much out of it. I was a little guy, and I mean, I was 16 years old when I was a senior in high school, so I was young for my grade as well. So I lacked a little bit of confidence in youth football, or the way that these guys taught it. These guys that I played for, Ron Schmidt, Leo Neri, and John Tex. I mean, I just accomplished a lot of things that I don't think I could have accomplished, or I didn't think I could accomplish. It just builds you up in a unique fashion. Youth football builds you up in a unique fashion where you end up doing things that you thought you'd never be able to do. And there's that physical contact aspect. It is very important to get over that fear. And also just going through tough practices and, just biting off, just segmenting. I learned how to segment, when I was 9 years old. It's like, instead of thinking about the whole thing, I'm just going to try to survive the next 5 minutes, the next 2 minutes, the next 3 minutes.
Especially when you look over in line and you see Zach 80 pounds heavier, and you're like, oh no, I have to deal with this.
Yeah, and I didn't skip a spot either. I was a little tiny middle linebacker at, I don't know, whatever, 72 pounds or whatever it is that I played. But I ended up getting a lot of life lessons from the game, in my opinion.
You're so right about that. And I think all the coaches need to understand that you're making men when you coach and these memories. I'm coaching like you because of John Lewis, my coach at the YMCA Dad's Club Bulldogs in 1972 when I started there. And I still remember his name. I don't remember a lot of teachers' names, but I remember John Lewis, and, it was a great experience. So I think a lot of youth coaches need to understand how much impact that we have on our kids that are playing for us.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the first team I coached back in the 80s, I mean, I'm still mentoring kids. They're not kids, they're in their 40s.
Yeah, they're adults now.
Yeah, they have businesses, and I'm a mentor coach for 3 of my players back then that are, running their own businesses now. I mean, one was finishing my basement right now, and the other one I'm going on a bunch of sales calls with him tomorrow.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So Zach, did you play youth? Do you remember your first coach? Well, I guess your dad was probably coaching you.
Oh, well, so it was interesting. I was an overweight kid, so I couldn't play youth football, but I played middle school football. And I remember that was a very impactful experience for me. Tom Collins was our middle school coach. And man, did he ever build me up. I was a big kid, kind of a soft kid, to be honest. I was a baseball kid growing up. I knew I wanted to play football, but I needed somebody to believe in me that I was going to be good. And I started playing football my 7th grade year, and he helped me get better. And then my 8th grade year, I got the start. And man, that just really got me going and loving football because he was a good coach, and he built me up as a young man. As a guy who's, my schoolmates would pickle me because I was overweight, I was slow, but he instilled in me confidence and then that helped me go on, you know, to play high school and college. And yeah, definitely just a wonderful, wonderful man.
That's cool that we all remember that first coach.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, Dave. So you played youth. I've always wanted to know, how did you get into coaching, and why did you pick the single wing? What was the thing there? How did that snap for you?
Well, it's a long story, Steve. I hope, or Coach Parker, I hope I don't bore you, but
Oh,
when
it's not boring.
okay. Well, I lived in Dallas. I lived in your neck of the woods after I graduated from A&M, came back to Omaha. And a guy I was working with, he had a young son that played on a youth football team. And he had played at the University of Missouri. He knew I had played before. I played high
Right.
school, 1 year of college at University of Nebraska, Omaha, before I transferred to A&M. But anyway, yeah, he just asked me if I wanted to coach, and I did. And I enjoyed it. I wasn't a very good coach. In fact, I found out later I was a terrible coach. But at that point, you know, you played the game before, you just kind of simulate what your high school coach had taught you.
Yeah.
And I found out he didn't teach me very well. So even though we had 5 D1 kids on our team, including Dave Remington, the only guy that's won the Outland Trophy 2 years in a row. And anyway, the net of it is I end up coaching there. And then in 1996, I accepted Christ as my savior, and I kind of started going off in a different direction. So I started a youth program in South Omaha, where I'm from. So lower income, actually has gone into a very low income area. And I started a program basically to evangelize youth, and we were using football as a tool.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, my vision was to get to about 400 kids, and we did. In about 5 years, we went from 0 players to a little over 400. And I kind of learned through that process that, you know, kind of analytical, and I coached, and we had some teams that were doing okay. We had some teams that were doing terrible, and we had a couple of teams that were winning fairly well. But it seemed as if our retention, it was all about retention, because I couldn't talk to people about Jesus unless they were around. So
Right.
I saw that my teams that lost consistently lost players. My teams that were losing teams had 1 or 2 wins, coached by decent guys, but they were, you know, their retention rates were terrible. They were losing 30-40% of their kids. However, the teams coached by Jay Smith and some of my better coaches, they were winning most of their games. They were retaining about everybody. So I said, you know what? I came to this thing with a good heart. I wanted to really help kids come to Christ and help kids learn how to be successful. And I couldn't do it unless they won. I mean, they couldn't do it unless they were there. So really, I was trying to look for a system, a way of doing things that we could standardize on and win.
Right.
So, because in turn, the winning was going to drive the retention. We ended up doing some other things from a retention standpoint that helped us keep those numbers in the 90+% range. My teams were 95, but everybody else was typically above 90. So that's the reason I did it. And I chose a single wing because I needed something that I could use across all of my teams. So some of my teams are pretty talented, some of them weren't. It was all based on geography, because we were in the heart of South Omaha, but I had 4 different practice fields we were at. One was right across the street from the largest housing project in Omaha with 450 units. You know, we had somebody our first year of practicing, we had somebody killed right in the middle of one of our practices, just
Oh my gosh.
30 yards from where he was shot 5 times. All the kids dived down and hit the dirt. Of course, I was standing up because they're used to the gunshots. I wasn't. So at the end of the day, I had 5 players that were murdered within 1 year of leaving the program. So believe it or not, Omaha, Nebraska is not all Mayberry RFD. There's some rough shit that happens down there too. So at the end of the day, that's the reason I chose a single wing, is because I thought it was something that would help us win. It was something I thought we could use across our entire program, where the kids were highly talented or middle talented or not so talented. And we wanted something a little different. We wanted to be able to identify, be identified with something. And so that's why I chose a single wing. And I guess I just lucked out because it was a perfect fit for us.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So you and I are about this. I'm 61. I think we're about the same age or close to it.
I'm 65.
Yeah, I didn't never see the single wing until I started coaching. The same thing with Beast. I kind of found them on this Apple software football program. How did you know about the single wing? Did you grow up with that, or how did that just come about? That's always an interesting legend story of how it happened.
Okay. Well, everybody's got their story of how they came to the single wing.
Yeah,
Christ. So I'll tell you, I'll give you the single wing portion. So Back in Nebraska, I was an I formation guy. I mean, it was kind of
Right.
everybody ran what Coach Osborne ran, and we ran the option, and we ran power football, and we ran counter trade, we ran all the I formation stuff. But again, everybody was running that, so it's typically the teams that were better coached and/or had better players were the teams that were winning. So I wanted something a little different, and I saw one of the teams that we played. I think it was from Bellevue, which is a suburb of Omaha. They used it as a goal line package. They used a single wing thing, and they were killing it. I mean, the goal line, we couldn't stop them once they got in the goal line. But prior to the goal line, we didn't do too bad. So at the end of the game, I just talked to the guy. I said, "Hey, what's that thing at the end that you're running? Why didn't you run that all the time? Because you're killing us with it."
Right.
He goes, "Oh, that's an old single wing thing." He goes, I got that from somebody, and so I went on the internet and looked up single wing, and I got in this thing called Delphi forums, which I don't.
Oh my God, I was there too.
Yeah,
that's funny.
So that's where I learned it, from the Delphi forums. There was a small, tiny little group of guys that were trying to keep the single wing alive because it was dying, and they were just trying to keep it alive. It really wasn't going. I mean, a lot of people weren't running it back then. A lot of people don't even know what it was back then. But I just joined it, and this guy named Eric Strutz ended up giving me a playbook, and then I did the deep dive. And I retired by then, so I had a bunch of free time, and I was just, off chasing stuff.
That's so crazy about this Delphi forum. I was in there in 92, 93, 94. Yeah. Kalinde was in there.
Steve
was in there. And you're in there. I come out with single wing and the beast thing that I was doing also on the software. And you're running single wing, and those guys are running single wing, double wing, beast. That's just crazy stuff that we're all in this forum in the 90s.
Right. It started really small. I mean, that first single wing conclave thing only had 13 people. And then the last year that I did it, not this last season, a couple of months ago, but I spoke at one in maybe 2004. There were like 150 guys there. So it really had grown from 13 guys to 150, primarily through this Delphi forum. And there was a fellow by the name of Todd Bross and some other high school coaches that ended up doing pretty well with the single wing, and it kind of started taking off again a little bit.
It is such a small world now with technology. Everybody's so connected, but that's crazy. We're there. It was interesting that you said, Zach, I'm kind of taking over here. Sorry.
No, you do it, man. I want to make one point. I played against a team when I was in West Virginia, Bridgeport High School. They run the single wing, and they won the state championship last year, and they'll probably win it again this year.
He spoke at the conclave.
Tyler did. Tyler's a friend of mine.
Tyler's a good dude. He's a big dude, and he's really smart. He's really good speaker. He gave an excellent presentation. He runs some.
That is good to know,
man. He runs buck lateral and all this stuff. I mean, he learns some old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good.
He's an old school fella.
I love him. He's great.
That's awesome, Coach Parker. Go ahead. I was just wanting to throw it in.
No, I wanted you to jump in. There's something you said, and I wanted to jump back to this topic when you were talking about retention. And you talked about winning. What are your thoughts on that? Because I believe that you still have to play for fun, and winning is funner. That's kind of my thing, because here in Texas, I mean, you probably know, like Nebraska, you have to at least be winning for parents to kind of retain on your team. Do you feel that that's the case, or what are your thoughts? Because it seems like you knew if I won, kids are going to stay.
Correct. And we did some things on top of that. I mean,
right. I understand.
I agree. I mean, my coaches are held to a standard. I mean, we want to be at 80% wins, and we want to be at 90% retention. And that was the standard. Our goal is to win them all and keep them all. That's my little mantra. Win them all.
That's great. Yeah. Win them all, keep them all.
Yeah. Win them all and keep all the players. So whenever I sign anything, it's win them all, keep them all. And yeah, I just think we need to be inclusive. We want to win. We let the kids that are better play more. But at the end of the day, my practices are very inclusive. We want everybody to have a good youth football experience because we know that kids are going to benefit from it, just as it becoming better, solid citizens.
Yeah. I heard on the game today that they were talking about that's what football does, and I think on youth.com with one of the NFL announcers was talking. It really creates men. And I think in today's environment, we really need that male kind of men thing coming out from football. Because I think for me, and we're old enough now, I think we've kind of toned down what football really used to be for men.
Yeah, no, I agree.
What is your thoughts on that? I mean, this whole we're not going to hit as much. The seven versus seven thing. We're just going to be spread and not power. What are your thoughts on kind of that change that you're seeing in the football world, just globally?
I don't have any problem with it. I prefer the power game. I mean, that's just what I grew up with, and I like the physicality of football. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with people doing things to try to expand the game, and maybe 7-on-7 does it. I don't like the lack of physicality on 7-on-7.
Same
But
here.
yeah, but at the end of the day, I think that people want to do things in a different way. I'm not going to downgrade them on it. I'm just going to go beat the pants off of them with physical football.
Yes, I think that's where we're all simpatical on power. Just go beat everybody. Winning is much funner than that.
Without a doubt. Yeah, there's nothing. We don't need to apologize for trying to win, because when you win as a coach, it either validates or doesn't validate what you're doing. If you win, okay, typically over the long course of time, you can have a team that has a bunch of stud players. I get that. But when you take a coach's career, 4 years of coaching, 10 years, 20 years, if he consistently wins, it's a validation of the processes and methods that he's using in his management. Because I always say coaching is just a teaching and management competition. That's all it is. Who can teach and manage better is going to win over the course of time. Okay, you can have that crazy group of kids. It's just awesome. But at the end of the day, if you can win and retain players, it's a validation that your approach is right. And we try to make practices fun. I mean, we have physical teams. I mean, we're more physical than 95% of the teams we play, but our practices are fun and inclusive, and I make it that way on purpose. I want everybody back. I want kids to want to come to practice.
Yeah, that's great. That's a big deal, getting kids to the practice.
Yeah,
that's become harder after COVID, I feel like.
Okay. Well, my first year of coaching, I had 36 kids from the ghetto. I was only one coach and 36 kids. And they said that we'd never be able to get our equipment back. These kids wouldn't show up to practice. I had 32 kids out of 36 at perfect attendance. So I call bullshit. I say, yeah, I mean, I realize there are groups where maybe it's going to be a little difficult, but you can get kids to love to want to come to practice. In fact, I had it, that's at the end of the season, what do the kids want to do? We had a year, just my next to last year coaching, and we were trying to line up some stuff out of town, and some things fell through, and we were still practicing. We had won our league championship. We had gone down to Kansas State to play in Manhattan at the stadium, and we were trying to line up something else, I think in St. Louis, and it ended up not working together. So I told the kids, hey, this is going to be it. This is our last practice. And I had a couple of kids say, well, can't we just practice? I said, nobody's going to play us. We can't get anybody to play. Nobody will play us. They said, well, can't we just practice? It's like, now that's a sign I'm doing a good job. The kids just want to practice,
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's a great story. And so, Coach, how did you get into writing books and doing clinics? What made you want to go take what you're doing and help other people to get into what you're doing with your youth program?
Yeah, well, thanks. I appreciate you asking that. I mean, back at Omaha, I had 90 coaches, and it was hard to recruit coaches because most of my kids 70% of my kids were, no father in the home. So we had to go out and find coaches. And it's like, it was really hard. You expand all your friend network and your church network, and you still don't have enough guys. So I just had to build coaches. I really just, if you're a living, breathing man, knows you don't really need to know that much about football, but if you're open to learning and you're going to show up on time and you can pass as the background check, I'll build you into a coach. So what I did is I had good coaches and I paired them with new coaches, and I just kind of had this buddy system built up, and we had a coaching manual. So at the end of the day, this guy in Orlando, Florida, the Nike Coach of the Year clinic called me up, and I don't know how you heard about me or anything, because maybe through Delphi, I have no clue. His name's Chuck, and Chuck invited me to speak. And I had already spoken at the Single Wing Conclave through Todd Bross, and I thought I did terrible. I didn't think I did a very good job, but Todd encouraged me, and then I went down and spoke at the Nike clinic. And I think Chuck lied to me because I didn't think I did that great. He sat in the back of the room, and he said, I said, well, Coach, I'm really sorry I let you down. He goes, no. He goes, you graded out better than anybody. He goes, I want you to go up to Atlantic City, and I want you to go to Cincinnati. And so he put me on doing flights. I know he was lying because I sucked, but at the end of the day, he was a coach, and he knew my content was good. So he put me on a clinic tour of about six cities, I guess. And so we got around to the next year, and he goes, well, Dave, he goes, you got to write a book. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, you got to leave something behind for these guys because they can't remember everything you're talking about. And he goes, they don't take very good notes. I said, yeah, they must be all Einsteins because nobody's taking any notes, hardly 3 or 4 guys, in the first row, but everybody else is just trying to remember this stuff. So I said, well, yeah, I can write a book because I already had a manual for my 90 coaches. And so I sat, it's not that hard. Coach Park will tell you, it's a lot harder to write a book than you think. So I wrote a 300-page book. It took me about just short of a year, but I was retired at the time. And I left it behind because Chuck required me to do so. And then from there, it just kind of, the internet came about and it just kind of took on. It was kind of God's plan, I guess.
Yeah.
Really by accident.
At the time in 2008 or 6, when I got a hold of it, it was great then. And it's still great. Like I said, so I'm so happy he forced you to write that book.
Oh, thanks. Because I didn't want to write it. I did not. But I like
hard to write. I mean, it's a lot of time.
It is. Well, he was a really cool guy, and he really took care of my kids. I didn't want to speak at the clinic to begin with, but he said, I'll pay for all your kids to go to Disney World. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, no problem. So anyway, he used my children against me, and thank goodness it worked.
Was it, I think, the single wing and of course the beast Yale formation gets a lot of black, and it's funny how you're seeing more and more of this kind of happen through NFL and college Wildcat stuff coming. I think it was you the other day in a forum that said, all the single wing guys, if the parents want to call it spread whatever, and then it's really a single wing, let them call it. So what are your thoughts on that? Was that you that said that?
It wasn't me, but I 100% agree with it because, the old single wing guys, there's still some of them out there. Okay. So bless their hearts and I love them. Okay. I'm not talking against them. I just have an opinion of them because, single wing, the guy that typically gets a snap, he snapped all 3, but that guy typically is called a tailback.
Right.
The guy next to him is called a fullback.
And
the next guy up to him is called a blocking back. And then the other guy is called a wing back. Well, the deal is, if you're not from Nebraska, you don't even know what a wingback is. I mean, we still know what they are. They're wide receivers. But at the end of the day, it's like, name them whatever will help you bring people in. I mean, I changed that tailback to quarterback a long time ago. And I changed the blocking back into H-back a long time ago. And that fullback, he's a running back. And then that wingback is a receiver, whatever it is that trips your trigger, whatever can get the parents to feel better about the situation. Not that I bow down to parents, but I know it's a reality for those who don't run their own programs. So why in the world wouldn't you want to use that terminology? It's going to make your life easier. It'd be silly not to. But you have some hardcore old guys. You want to call that guy the tailback,
Yeah, that's crazy. Somebody the other day said, the beast is just a compressed bunch. And I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to rename this thing a spread compressed bunch and put that book out. Cause it's so funny how the naming convention will lead to people like, oh, this is not this old formation. So I think there's something to that, coaches out there. Maybe just rename it something so people don't really know what it is.
Yeah, rename it something that's local. And we went spread single wing. We started doing that based on Manassas, Virginia. I went to one of the clinics out there, and these guys in Manassas were kicking butt with this spread single wing, and we could run our base stuff underneath it.
Yeah.
So I just added that in, I think, 2004 or 2005. And we don't run it with all of our teams, but the older teams and the teams that have more talent, we certainly do. And yeah, it's just a spread formation.
Yeah, I started running this Wiener spin thing, which was double wing, and you can run all this double wing stuff in a spread, and you can do that with the single wing stuff with your stuff. And so and you see it now at NFL and high schools. It really is just single wing, double wing, and a spread now a lot. At least that's what I'm starting to see. Do you see this too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you see the Chiefs running it. I mean,
the Chiefs. Yeah.
He's great. Even Nebraska has a compressed formation with they move the quarterback out and bring their H back in at the tailback spot. But again, they just use it as a gimmick type deal. It's not their base formation. But there's high schools in Nebraska, Scotts Bluff, which is out west. They're consistently in the finals here, and they're a single wing team. So there's still teams out there doing it. It's just not a whole lot. But your buddy in West Virginia, he's kicking butt with it. So there's Rick Darlington down in Florida is kicking ass with it.
Yeah, he is.
Everywhere he's been, he's kicked butt with it.
Mhm. Yeah, Coach Fairs, man, he puts up 50 a game
Oh,
and just crushing people because you don't see it, right? Nope. I mean, they have really good players, but then they use a unique system, and if you don't see that, especially as defensive coordinator, the guys he's playing against, you don't really know how to stop that.
yeah, but I don't think they were very good until he got there, right?
Oh man, Bridgeport is that's a legendary program in the state of West
Okay.
Virginia. Oh
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
they were stick eye for a long time. They were like Maryland stick eye.
Yeah.
That was their jam.
I got you.
Zach and I've been talking about that. We think that there's a huge opportunity for power to come back into high school football because all the defenses are in these past defenses, and it seems like why aren't these high schools running like these power packages like single wing or T or wing T kind of thing, or maybe even the beast to take advantage of these backed up defenses? What are your thoughts on that? Do you have any ideas around that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here in Nebraska, they have open enrollment, so the recruiting is extremely aggressive, and so you have a number of people that have a tremendous amount of talent, and you got a whole bunch of teams with no talent because they've sucked them all. There's guys that played for me that live right across the street from the high school, and they're going 15 miles out west to go to a powerhouse school that's not in the hood. So at the end of the day, I think yes, because if you're just trying to compete in the spread with people with similar athletes, you're not going to be competitive. And I'm not a recruiter. I've never recruited a single player, a single person, and said I'm going to go after Joe, or I'm going to go after Harry, I'm going to go after Tom. I always recruit anybody that shows up. So I don't care who plays for me. I don't. Like I always tell the parents that first meeting, we'll win with you or without you. If you're going to be here, you're going to have a great time. If you want to move on somewhere else, that's great. It's no problem. So I make it a scarcity issue. And at the end of the day, I just want to win with the kids I have, and I don't care how good they are.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That is so well said because, I mean, I think in today's climate of high school football and sounds like youth football, you have people that are doing things they shouldn't be doing, like recruiting people, promising people things they can't come through on. But just, yeah, Coach, you saying just playing with the kids you have and enjoying them, building them up, and doing the best you can what you got, and then using a unique system. That seems like a much better way than, hey, I'm going to go steal somebody else's players.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some crazy stories out there. People paying their entry fees and even paying them money on top of it. I mean, you watch that Friday Night Tykes show. I mean, they actually have parents out shopping their kids at different teams.
Oh, I know.
It's crazy.
In Denver, I had a parent actually play for us who was like a super stud because I didn't offer to pay for everything for her son.
Yeah.
She said I was the only one out of 5 coaches that did not offer her like a full boat ride of equipment and fees and all this other stuff. I couldn't believe it at the time. This is in 2007. I can't imagine today.
That's crazy, Coach.
So Coach, go ahead. Coach Parker, you got it. Go ahead. I got something after you.
So what do you think from when you started to today? Do you see any big changes that you might make or see other coaches do, or or what the whole football kind of thing is happening at youth football? How different is it that you see that a coach would have to be aware of?
Yeah, no, I know the recruiting has become an issue, and I know there are parents, more parents than ever, shopping their kids around and getting very disgruntled very quickly and moving their kids from team to team. I mean, back in my day, we just wherever we could walk to practice because we didn't have rides, so everybody went to the neighborhood team. And as we became more fluid in our transportation, I think parents, and especially because I coached in the hood, I coached in the ghetto. But I also coached in the richest demographic in Nebraska as well. I moved south of Lincoln in 2005, and I started coaching down there. I started another program, only 140 kids, but it went from the poorest demographic to the richest demographic. And it was really, quite a shock because I had literally games in the hood where I only had 2 parents show up for home games. I had to get somebody from the other team to be on the chain gang. So we only had 2 people in the stands. Of course, we're picking all the players up and being social worker and all that nonsense. not nonsense, important stuff. And then with the rich kids, it's like, man, we had like 200-300 at games because they're all there. They're all showing up early, but they're in your business. In the ghetto, the parents not so much in your business. With coaching the spoiled rich brat kids, which my, that's where my kids went to school too. Much different equation. So it was an eye opener. In some ways, it was a blessing, but in some ways, it was a curse as well. So I kind of learned how to manage both situations.
Yeah, I agree. The parent thing now, I feel like every 5 years, the parents have gotten more helicopter in the business. When I started in '94, like like a new crop of parents came in, and it just more difficult every parent group that came in.
And again, I've never been in your situation. Well, I guess I was back in the 80s for just a couple of years, but I ran my own program. So I kind of have control. I can kick people out and all those types of things. And I can set the precedent and I can set the standard as to what that first meeting, that parent meeting entails, where we tell them that we don't care. We're glad your son's here. We're going to make sure he has a great experience. These are our expectations. Please don't talk to us about positions or playing time. You're going to get a minimum of 12 plays. If your child plays less than 12 plays, call me, talk to me. I can for sure make sure that problem is taken care of. But if they play their 12, I don't want to hear anything else, And so, yeah, I think the parental issue has gotten more difficult. And my experience was being able to set the precedent. Maybe it's not exactly like all other coaches, because I read it pretty hard,
Yeah.
So, Coach Cisar, what is version 2.0 look like for you with Coach Parker? What's this look like going forward with you guys together? What's your vision for yourself like today?
Well, first of all, again, I'm so thankful to be doing business with Coach Parker and his site, and he's just really strong technically. He gets all these pages up quickly, and he's actually quite a skilled business person as well. So I think the goal is just to help more coaches. I mean, just get the word out that I'm back in the game. I'm going to do clinics. I've got 2 going so far now. I've got one I'm going to do the Glazier Clinic in Atlanta. Then I'm going to do the a private clinic in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I've got a couple others. I'm probably going to get back on the Nike and Glazier tour. They contacted me late this year, and there was only one date that made sense for me. Otherwise, I'd probably do 5 or 6 for them. But yeah, I enjoy doing the clinics. I just don't like doing the distribution of the DVDs, books, and those kind of things. I hate it. I'm terrible at it. And Coach Parker has filled that role. And now technology's changed. I mean, you can do downloads and such. You don't have to mail them all out and duplicate them and all that like we used to. I mean, we used to have a factory in my house. I mean, I have 4 kids, so got the little factory there where they're working, like little, Taiwanese, dressmakers or something, So anyway.
Yeah. So if you're interested in a clinic, he just mentioned clinics. We just got that page up actually this morning. Yeah. So we can do that. You can email us off that page, davecisar.com, and it'll take you into Coach Parker from there. But you can look at that. And then all those ebooks are over there. I've asked him if he's got another book in him, and he said no. But so I'm gonna maybe try to write one, have him edit and do a forward like he's had his friends do. So I'm gonna try to. That's one of my things that why I wanted to partner with him, is to learn from him, because I feel like I kind of suck compared to him. So I guess that's because I read his first book. So like you were like at the clinic and you were like, I suck. I'm like, oh my God, I feel inadequate when you're around. It's like, but it's been great. I hope to have him off the bench more. And I know he's kind of like, I'll do 3 podcasts, and what you said 6 now, right?
Well, yeah, you lit a fire in my butt.
I'm trying to get him to do 12.
Oh no, I enjoyed doing the clinic and I enjoyed working with you. I just didn't know that it was going to be this great. So no, you originally wanted 6. I pared you down to 3, and I'm back up to 6. So
yeah, I'm gonna keep working him because I think he's got a lot to say, and the both of us do. So hopefully, I can get him definitely in as the starting QB kind of thing and let him go from there.
That's so good, man. You guys are this is so fun for me. I'm enjoying this far more than just myself recording a podcast. This is great. You guys are full of wisdom, and I really enjoyed just learning from you guys.
Well, I wanted to kind of go back, take a step back real quick. So, Coach, you talked about building men. When I went to Army basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, for 9 wonderful weeks, I was in National Guard, but I went in with the regular Army guys. And the first thing Sergeant Johnny Fallon, our drill instructor, said is, "How many of you guys played football?" And so the guys who played football raised his hand because he had 4 squads and he needed squad leaders. And the only people he chose were guys that played football. So he brought all the football guys together, and we went in a corner and talked to Sergeant Johnny Fallon. He says, "Hey," he goes, "you guys played football?" He goes, "This is a piece of cake, no problem. But you need to pair up. We need to pair up with guys that didn't play, and you need to encourage them because they're going to suffer." So, I had fraternity brothers that had gone through this, had gone through the Army basic training. They said, "Oh, you're going to be in the best shape of your life, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be so hard. You're going to be in the best shape of your life." Basic training, I gained 11 pounds. I gained 11 pounds during basic training because that was the first time I'd eaten 3 square meals a day, and I could eat as much as I wanted. Basic training was a piece of cake. And then my first job in college, I worked at UNO. I worked at a meatpacking plant. And the first day at meatpacking plant, there were 14 of us that came in. Of course, they bring us into the lunchroom, and they've got this curtain that the human resources lady puts this curtain, and she separates us from everybody else in the lunchroom. She's trying to encourage us. "Hey, it'll get better. You get used to the cold, blah, blah, blah." And so every day for 2 weeks, we meet there. Every day there's fewer and fewer and fewer people. By the end of the 2 weeks, there's only 2 people left, me and this nice Hispanic man that couldn't speak any English. We were the only 2 that survived. And it's like, well, I told my mom about it, and she goes, "Well, why do you think you survived?" I said, "That youth football, man, it's like it's a piece of cake compared to working in a packing house." And so anyway, no, you learn with being uncomfortable, and learn overcoming obstacles. You learn about being on time, and that thing just kind of carried with me, whether it was, working in a packing house or, being in the Army. It was a good training ground. It really was. And people identify that, they recognize that. I mean, this drill sergeant had been a drill sergeant for 15 years, and his experience had shown him that guys that played football were good soldiers.
Yeah, they could handle it.
Yeah, they could handle it. Absolutely, Coach.
So I think I think I've got one question on my list, because I think we're going to do some more of these, hopefully in the future, because you've committed to 6. But kind of this last question, I think it's good for all of us to know, is when you look at a youth coach and what they're doing, what tells you that team or that coach is doing well, or that team is coached well? What is that 3 or 4 or 5 things that you look at and say, okay, when you start talking to a coach and you're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about, or yeah, this guy's got it together? What are those things that you look for?
Oh, that's a good question, Coach. And it's easy to I mean, because back in the first week of the season, I used to get over 100 phone calls a day, 100. So you can see why maybe I wanted to back out after a bit. And I get over 100 emails a day too. And I have to, answer all these questions, which I'm glad to help people, but it can become a little bit overwhelming. The first question I would always ask is, how many plays do you have in your playbook? So, we'll just go through the first week. Okay. So that first week in September, you get lots of phone calls. So it's like, okay, how many plays you got in your playbook? Well, the guys that had 20, 30, 40 plays in their playbook, they typically weren't doing very well. Okay. In fact, almost universally, they weren't doing very well. So a guy that has a small playbook that has, it's a system-based offense that has answers. Okay. It has similar implied intent. So I ask him that. Secondly, I ask him is, when did you put your defense in? And so a lot of guys, that they think offense. What, really my practice plans, offense and defense practice about the same amount of time. And then we give reasonable amount of special teams, but I ask them, when do you put your defense in? And a lot of them would tell me these terrible horror stories. They put it in like 2 days before their first game.
Yeah.
I'm no bullshit. I'm telling you.
I've heard the same crap. I can't believe it.
Yeah, they put the defense in 2 days before the first game. So it's like, no wonder you're not doing very well. So those are a couple of things. And then if you just tell them to break down your practice, how much time do you spend scrimmaging? Because I did a study. I wanted our kids to come to Christ. I wanted our kids to win. I wanted our kids to have a great experience. So I retired in 98. And I just went and watched the best teams in the area practice. I went and watched De La Salle High School in California practice. I watched teams practice. I went to the Pop Warner National Championships and the AYF National Championships, and I watched people practice for a whole week. And it's like the teams that were consistently, and then in my area, I scouted the teams that were the worst. You know, there were teams that were consistently losing all the time. So I went and watched their practices to say, well, this is the shit I don't want to do. So it's like I compiled the teams that consistently lost were fairly similar. They're scrimmaging a whole lot. They were doing a lot of conditioning, set aside conditioning. They were doing a lot of agilities, and they were doing a lot of non-football stuff and scrimmaging a ton. And the guys that were consistently winning, they would teach in a systematic way, a very systematic way. They were extremely well organized down to the minute. And I used to business practice type stuff that I kind of hold people accountable to when it comes to management and such. So I can tell, I mean, Joe Cianflone, one of my best buddies, a great coach who lives down in Florida, we would go to AYF and Pop Warner, and we'd bet on the games. We'd bet $1, and we would watch the teams warm up, and we'd say, well, hey, who's going to win? Well, the problem was we always bet on the same team because we always knew who's going to win based on how they practice. So you can learn a lot by watching teams practice, and I can tell whether a team's well coached or not.
Yeah, that's a great answer. One of the questions I always ask is, like you, I get a lot of calls, and they're like, we're not doing well. We've lost 4 games in a row. And I always ask, well, who's your O-line coach, and what's your blocking calls?
Oh,
you know, what are you doing there? And they're like, what do you mean? And it's like, oh God, dude, because it's like everybody gets focused on those 4 or 5 running backs, and they just want to run plays, and half of your team or 3/4 of your team is standing around with some coach that doesn't know what's going on. So I think those are all good ways to kind of figure out if you guys are wondering there. But yeah,
without a doubt, I required my head coaches to be the offensive line coach. So you're right, coach.
I got that from you. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, no, it's all one on the O-line. That's what I coach. And you're right. They don't have any blocking rules. They just blocking the guy in front of them, and they give little effort to it. It's their worst coach that's assigned to it. So whoever's left over, you're the O-line coach. So yeah.
For all of those wondering, God blocking rule, I got this from Dave. I simplified it into job, but I did not know GOD in 2007. And Dave, in his book, when I read it, is like, oh my God, this is simple versus pointing to man. So yeah. So there's so much more that Dave and I want to do, and we want to include you, Zach, too. I think we were talking about the next one, Dave, was going to be really hardcore single wing, right? We were going to go through that whole thing. Is that what you wanted to do?
That's fine, Coach. We'll go whichever direction you want to go. But yeah, single wing, that's what a lot of people think of when they think of me. And again, I could have taken that Olivet T. You know, I came pretty close to running that, but it's too much footwork and all that kind of stuff. It just didn't make sense for the equation that I had. But I feel I could take the approach that I use to coaching and apply it to, you know, Olivet T or Power I or I formation, whatever it is, and we could win. We wouldn't win as many games, but we'd still be successful. So I think it's the approach to managing and teaching is what I do uniquely. But I'd be happy to talk to people about the thing they want to talk about, which is single wing, but they need to tune in on how to teach and reach players in a unique way, because I really do that in a much different way than most coaches do.
Yeah, so maybe I think there's 3 topics that I know is like this, the whole administration thing and practice organization kind of team thing is really interesting that you wrote. And I think that's the bigger part of his books. Just everybody talks about the Saint and Six, even I do. Because it's funny, you know, I never got to the spin series at the back of the book because I started at the Saint and the Six. I was going to tell you need to put that other stuff in the front. Maybe more people would have looked at it. But they do that to me too, and it's a huge frustration. But I think there's the single wing. I think definitely your practice organization, how you run a team, and because you said defense a while ago, I totally agree with that. So many coaches wait to install defense or special teams 2 days before the first game, which is like, what the heck are you doing there? And then also maybe offensive line. So I think there's a lot of stuff to talk to, and I think people like me and Zach want to hear from you. And we want, you know, so I know you're kind of shy in a way, which I was surprised, but I think we all are. We don't really know how much we know. And I think We all want to hear from you, Coach Cisar.
I know the next one will be better, Coach.
I know this is dude. I know you think this isn't good, but I loved it. Hopefully
good.
everybody else has. How about Zach? Did you love it?
Oh, I loved it, man. And Coach, if you want to talk about Jesus on here, you talk about Jesus as much as you want,
that's
man.
the other thing.
Come on,
We're
as
all
much as you want.
churchy on here. That's another thing we all have in common.
Oh yeah, I'll give you my testimony, but we're going to lay music and we're going to lay hands and we're going to do Holy Roman stuff. So I don't know if everybody wants to see that or not. But if they want to tune in as an extra episode, I'll be happy to do that because that's.
I started my FCA group when I was a freshman. So yeah, in our new high school. So yeah, I like churchy people, and I'm so glad that we all are on board with that. And I think it's a great moral and ethical thing to go around with football to make good men and good sports people.
Great. Well, Coach, thanks for having me, and Zach, thank you so much for being such a patient host. And
of course,
I look forward to doing some real stuff. We'll get the whiteboard out and we'll get after it. I'll actually back up and we'll do demos, and I'll probably put holes in my walls and all kinds of shit back here.
Yeah, let's get after it. That sounds great.
It'll be fun.
This is going to be great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
See you guys.